Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside the former state of Ethiopia. But first, I'm happy to be back from my trip, my business trip to Utah in the Salt Lake City area. So, more on that. I'm going to compare and contrast what I observed in Salt Lake City and kind of compare that to maybe a place like Seattle. But first, we're going to talk about the ongoing civil war taking place inside the former state of Ethiopia. And we have some fairly significant news coming in over the wires, quite literally as we speak. Over the last 24, 48 hours, there have been three sizable operations by the Oromia Liberation Army. This specific operation was conducted in an area known as the Abuna Gindabure district of the West Shewa zone. The Oromo Liberation Army, in this area specifically, is operating in smaller platoon-sized elements of 30 to 50 personnel, fighters, per platoon. It would appear that in this operation that took place in West Shewa zone, northwest of the capital, Addis, and not too far from the capital as well. But again, 9 platoons took part in this operation. We suspect that the total operation in terms of personnel probably accounted for about 600 Oromia Liberation Army fighters. So the first operation, and again there was 3 operations within this area. The first operation took place again, and there were 3 locales that were attacked. In the first locale, it was at a place called Addis, and if I'm saying that incorrectly, I'm sure someone will absolutely correct me. There were 3 Oromia Liberation Army platoons, or a company-sized element, we believe about 150 to 200 OLA fighters. In that operation that took place near Addis, 32 regime loyalist forces were KIA'd and a number severely wounded, up to 40. The second operation, which took place here, and I'll actually show you that directly on the map, in this town of Abiy. And in that operation, the OLA again utilized 3 platoons, 1 company-sized element of around 150 to 200 OLA fighters. And in that operation, 40 soldiers of the Abiy loyalist regime were KIA'd, and another 25 wounded. And then finally, and if we kind of zoom in on the map, we suspect that the Abiy loyalist forces were probably encamped at this locale here. And the OLA fighters obviously enveloped and then attacked that location. And then finally, there was a third operation, not far from this operation, not far from this area, at a area known as the Kwansi School. And that was a fairly significant operation, given the fact that, again, the Oromo Liberation Army only utilized 3 platoons, again, a company-sized element of 150 to 200 fighters. And they engaged, apparently, in a surprise attack, a battalion-sized element in excess of 400 Abiy loyalist personnel. They're reporting that that operation, this was the largest operation, not in terms of personnel, but in terms of the size of the target that the OLA was attacking. And that resulted in reported 90 Abiy loyalist forces KIA'd in action and 125 wounded. We don't believe at this point that the OLA is taking prisoners given their need to move rapidly. They are not taking control of towns and cities on a long-term basis. They are fighting a classical industrial strength insurgency designed to wear out the Abiy loyalist forces in Oromia. So very, very interesting bit of information that has come out over the last few days in this operation. Obviously, significant amount of casualties that have been sustained by the Abiy loyalist forces. And we will continue to monitor this as the OLA continues what appears to be a very successful operation throughout much of Oromia. And again, if we look at the area where this took place, again, this is just northwest of Addis Ababa, also known as Finfinne by the Oromia. If we do as a bird flies from the center of Addis Ababa to where this operation took place, and you are looking at about 100 kilometers. So the OLA is operating 75 to 100 kilometers from Addis Ababa. At the same time, they are continuing operations well west of the capital as well. The operations running from Mende all the way down to Nekemte continue as we speak. We estimate there are thousands of OLA fighters involved in those operations west of the B-42 highway. Also, the operation that took place northwest of Addis Ababa, near Baite, the Abuna Gindabare zone district, we have intel that many of these fighters that the OLA were engaging were actually Amharan paramilitary forces. What we're starting to see is Oromia regional forces, in many cases, are refusing to engage the OLA in battle. Furthermore, we are continue to receive reports that Oromia regional forces are also defecting over to the side of the Oromia Liberation Army. So as a result of this, we're starting to see the deployment of elements of Amharan paramilitary militias, such as Fano and other Amharan regional forces, into Oromia proper. We have also heard reports that elements of the Abiy loyalist federal army, again, many of those are made up of Oromo people, are also refusing to conduct operations against the OLA in various zones of Oromia. So very, very interesting set of news that continues to filter in about the ongoing continued operations by the Oromo Liberation Army in Oromia. We continue to watch very, very closely what is happening in the Tigray region as well. Obviously, all is not well. The Tigray Defense Forces are not laying down their arms. They cannot possibly lay down their arms. They are relocating to certain areas inside of the Tigray region. But the idea that they are willing, the Tigrayan Defense Forces, the TDF, is willing to seek self-destruction of not just itself as a fighting force, but the Tigray region in general. And that given the fact that the Eritrean army is still present in northern Tigray, That is the de facto force that right now occupies most of northwestern Tigray, outside of the scope of Adigrat. The Tigrayan Defense Forces are still in control of Mekelle, and obviously still in control of the Tenbian region as well. So it's going to be very interesting in the coming days and weeks ahead as we continue to see this operation by the OLA stress and put pressure on the Abiy loyalist army and his allies, such as the Amharan regional militia groups. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Tigray. Is it possible that the Abiy loyalist government is going to have to divert so many forces and possibly seek the assistance of the Eritrean military in what is happening in Oromia? And again, the OLA is fighting this war in a way, in a method that is absolutely causing the Abiy loyalist forces many, many problems. The Abiy loyalist armies, again, the federal forces, regional forces, Amharan regional special forces, even elements of the Eritrean military, federal police forces, are not as adept in terms of fighting this industrial strength insurgency that we're seeing. Again, hit and run operations, attacking where the Abiy loyalist forces are weakest, avoiding where they are strongest. But again, in this case that occurred just to the northwest of Addis Ababa, where a company-sized element of OLA fighters dismantled a battalion-sized element of what we believe were quite possibly Amharan regional militia units or federal police forces. Very interesting development. That shows you the motivation, the morale of those forces are probably not that high. And again, as we have talked about before, the competency of the Abiy loyalist forces, again, continues to have to be questioned. But we will continue to monitor, report, and bring you more content for your consumption. We appreciate you joining us today. More to come very, very soon. And as always, have a good day.